on a panel this week, the CEO of Anthropic talked about some companies are led by people with a scientific background, and some are led by the generation of entrepreneurs that did social media. And then went on to talk about how those with scientific backgrounds think about the societal implications of their technology and look at some of the damages with social media. What's your response to that?
Yeah, it's interesting. And Kat, you know this, I'm not sure how many folks in the audience would, but in the prior chapters of my life, I worked in politics. I would, help run presidential campaigns, Senate campaigns, gubernatorial campaigns. And Davos and these comments I found interesting is because it took me back in time to my politics age when, you're in a presidential primary and, the front runner is out there talking about, their ideas. Then you sort of have some of these second tier candidates, that want to take sort of shots at the front runner because it drives clicks, it drives coverage, right? It drives headlines. And, it's a little bit of how they try to compete. I think, some of the folks you mentioned, I think have taken shots at OpenAI. They took shots at NVIDIA. I think they've taken shots at, the administration. There's been a lot of that. But I also think there's something a little bit more profound behind this that I do think is worth talking about and considering. The folks who are doing that are folks who are definitely not focused on how they make this technology accessible in a broad-based way so that people will actually participate in the economics. They come from a background where they're really focused exclusively, almost exclusively, on purely giving it an enterprise context. It's a very elitist approach, I think a very undemocratic approach. And I think maybe this is spicy, but maybe it's an approach that would have been more befitting of an older Davos, not a Davos that is more focused on how you actually think about distributing economics in a more democratic way. That's what we're focused on. If the elitist and undemocratic entities want to take those shots, they can. We're focused on making sure that everyday people are actually going to have a fair shot and a fair chance to participate in the AI economy.
I just want to understand, what do you mean that Anthropic's products like Claude and others are elitist?
Because they're generally focused on keeping it into the hands of the few, not necessarily really making it widely accessible. And certainly not in the way that, an OpenAI is really trying to put this into the hands of everyday folks.